This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. It's Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Nikki Haley says she will vote for Donald Trump in November.
So I will be voting for Trump.
I'm John Stolnis.
Multiple people killed when a tornado tore through Iowa, including a woman whose vehicle was blown off the road. I'm Julie Walker.
The Republican National Committee's headquarters was briefly evacuated after an odd delivery. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Stocks open after a sell-off, and then NVIDIA knocked it out of the park with quarterly results after the bell. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
A congressman talks about Donald Trump and is immediately censured. We'll tell you what was said.
A federal judge has signed off on the $600 million class action settlement over last year's disastrous Norfolk Southern derailment. I'm Haya Panjwani.
All ahead on America in the Morning. During the presidential primary season, Donald Trump's former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley emerged as his biggest threat, with tensions mounting between the two campaigns. Now, though, Haley says she's ready to back Trump's presidential bid. John Stolnis has more from Washington.
Speaking at an event at the Hudson Institute in Washington, Haley said her priorities are voting for someone who will have the backs of America's allies, hold enemies to account, secure the border, and support capitalism and freedom.
Trump has not been perfect on these policies. I've made that clear many, many times. But Biden has been a catastrophe. So I will be voting for Trump.
Haley's support is likely welcome news to a campaign that spent much of the week dealing with a post that Trump's account on Truth Social reposted, featuring a video that referenced a, quote, unified Reich if Trump won a second term. President Biden took to social media to blast the former president.
Is this on his official account? Wow. A unified Reich? That's Hitler's language. That's not America's. He cares about holding on to power. I care about you.
The video was not created by the Trump team, and the campaign says a junior staffer did not see the reference and sent it while Trump was in court. Trump is also walking back comments he made in an interview this week with Pittsburgh TV station KDKA on contraceptives.
Do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception?
Well, we're looking at that, and I'm going to have a policy on that very shortly, and I think it's something that you'll find interesting.
Well, that suggests that you may want to support some restrictions, like the morning after pill.
I mean, we are also, things really do have a lot to do with the states. And some states are going to have different policies than others.
In a post a few hours later on Truth Social, Trump said, quote, I have and will never advocate imposing restrictions on birth control or other contraceptives. In terms of money, the Biden campaign raised $51 million in April. That's down from $90 million raised right after his State of the Union speech in March. Trump's campaign says they raised $76 million in April, although Biden still has more money on hand as legal bills are eating some of Trump's campaign cash. The former president is preparing for a rally later today in a different location for him, the South Bronx, in a neighborhood that is 64% Hispanic and 31% Black. It's the first time since 2016 he'll have held a large-scale rally in New York. I'm John Stolnis.
The Midwest has been battered by bad weather, including in Houston, where some are still without power from a storm that brought 100-mile-per-hour winds just a week ago. In Iowa, authorities are still conducting search and rescue operations after a devastating tornado, with reports of several dead there. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
Being from a small town, you know everybody. But I know, as you see, everybody's out helping everybody, and it's like you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. But I know that we'll rebuild and everybody will help each other because that's what our town does.
It got really, really loud, and we thought we lost our house, but we were lucky. But like everyone else is not so much. Like my brother Cody, his house just got wiped and his girlfriend got stuck, but she's okay now.
Sadly, we can't confirm that there have been fatalities with this tornado. Also, injuries have been sustained by residents here in the Greenfield area.
In Greenfield, the tornado flattening homes, cars, trees. Through tears, resident Valerie Warrior tells WOI-TV it's devastating.
Being from a small town, you know everybody. But I know, as you see, everybody's out helping everybody.
Governor Kim Reynolds touring the area. She already announced a disaster declaration.
It's just gut-wrenching. I mean, I was just in Minden, as I said, 3.5 weeks ago, and that was horrific. And I think there's even more debris and just more more impacted here. So it is just horrific. It's hard to describe until you can actually see it, the devastation.
Audio courtesy KCRG. This year, the preliminary count for tornadoes, 859, the highest since 2017.
Just how heartwarming it is to see just everybody out there helping each other. A friend was going through a neighbor's place looking for photos and just personal items that she could get back to the owner. So you just see that over and over, and just the amount of people willing to step up.
I'm Julie Walker.
Those are the top stories of the day, sponsored by Sleep Number. Save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed for a limited time only at Sleep Number stores or sleepnumber.com. Unusual delivery leads to a full evacuation. We'll tell you what happened at the RNC when America in the Morning returns after this. Waking up this morning with summer knocking on the door. I promise we'll be there soon. Not quite yet, though. Let's take a look at your forecast. More severe weather risks today in some parts of the country. Here's Brian Thompson.
We did see severe weather in parts of the southern plains yesterday, and that's going to be the case again today. Now, the threat will shift just a little bit farther east as we head throughout today. The highest risk for severe weather will be across southern Oklahoma, right along the Red River Valley, north of Dallas, and into western parts of Arkansas, extending over through about Little Rock. But the overall threat for severe weather will be from around the Dallas-Fort Worth area through much of Oklahoma, eastern Kansas, Nebraska, and into eastern parts of South Dakota as well. The main threats being hail, flash flooding, isolated tornadoes, and certainly some damaging straight-line winds with some of these storms as well. Now, we will see some showers and thunderstorms extending through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys for today. The severe threat not that high, though. And then along the East Coast, we're going to be watching for the threat for some stronger thunderstorms from Boston down through New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, through eastern parts of Virginia as well. The main threats with these storms will be flooding downpours, some strong gusty winds, perhaps some damaging wind gusts, and even some hail with some of the strongest storms. It's going to be very humid today across the Northeast, although this cold front will bring some relief from that humidity as we head into tomorrow. Mainly dry across the Southeast today with just a couple of spotty thunderstorms in northern parts of Alabama and Mississippi. And then out across the Rockies, some rain, even some mountain snow in the northern Rockies, but pretty dry through the Four Corners region, a high fire risk in parts of the Southwest, and dry along the West Coast. And that's the weather across America. In New York City today, humid with clouds and some sun, a couple of showers and a heavy thunderstorm, high 82. Sunny in Phoenix today, high 97. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Remember to follow us everywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. Democratic congressman was rebuked on the House floor yesterday for comments that he made surrounding former President Donald Trump's ongoing hush money trial. Congressman Jim McGovern of Massachusetts was talking on the House floor during a procedural debate when he voiced frustration over lawmakers being limited on what they can say about the Trump trial.
We have a presumptive nominee for president facing 88 felony counts, and we're being prevented from even acknowledging it. These are not alternative facts. These are real facts.
Now, he went beyond just the hush money trial, and Republican Congresswoman Jerry Carl, who was presiding over the chamber, eventually stepped in.
He's also charged with conspiring to overturn the election. He's also charged with stealing classified information. And a jury has already found him liable for rape in a civil court. And yet, in this Republican-controlled House, it's okay to talk about the trial, but you have to call it a sham.
We take down his words.
It's okay to say the jury is rigged.
Mr. Speaker, I demand that his words be taken down.
It's okay to say the court is corrupt.
Gentlemen will suspend.
But not Trump is corrupting the rule of law.
The House floor was stopped down for about an hour after that, and McGovern was officially admonished. It was ruled that his words were offensive and would be taken off the record. The basis being that a presumed presidential nominee should get the same treatment as the sitting president when it comes to debates on the House floor. An unusual delivery at the Washington, D.C. headquarters of the Republican National Committee led to the building's full evacuation. Washington correspondent Sagar Magani reports.
The building here in Washington was cleared out as police investigated 2 vials of blood addressed to Donald Trump. Hazmat teams were called in when the vials were found. It's unclear if anyone came into contact with the blood and to whom it belonged. Trump is the presumptive GOP presidential nominee and has taken over the National Party apparatus. His hand-picked leaders are now running the RNC, including his daughter-in-law. Sagar Magani, Washington.
There's a big American retailer starting to see the impacts of its high prices, and it's not necessarily great news. We'll get into it when America in the Morning returns after this. The Business Report, sponsored by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger with Thursday Business.
Wall Street opens this morning after a sell-off for stocks yesterday on the Fed minutes, which showed lingering inflation worries and no interest rate cuts coming anytime soon. And then after the closing bell last night, NVIDIA knocked it out of the park with strong quarterly results. Shares were popping. AI is booming. The chip maker had a 262% jump in sales in the quarter. It's also doing a stock split next month as shares push $1,000 a piece.
A 10-for-1 forward stock split of common stock to make ownership more accessible to employees and investors. The split will be effective through an amendment. As of the close on Thursday, June 6th, they'll get 9 additional shares of common stock. So again, 10-for-1 forward stock split at the close on June 6th.
CNBC's Christina Partsenevelis. Existing home sales unexpectedly dropped last month. This is the spring home buying season, even with a boom in new supply of homes on the market for sale.
Inventory was up 16% from the year before. Still, though, just a 3.5-month supply because the overall numbers are still very low. One note, though, supply of homes priced over $1 million, up 40% year over year, which is why that segment of the market is the most active. The median price of an existing home sold in April was $407,600, up 5.7% year over year. And that's yet another record high price for the month of April. I feel like I say that every month.
CNBC's Diana Olick. Target shares tanked 8% yesterday on missed quarterly results. Shoppers are shunning high prices there.
The shopper is just pushing back. It's come to a point that prices are just too high, and the shopper is retreating to value-based retailers where Walmart and Costco seem to be more price competitive. And that's exactly why you saw that Target announcement earlier this week, lowering prices.
Forrester's Sucharita Kodali on CNBC.
So, Jessica, why are people driving such old cars?
Because new ones are too darn expensive. So are many used cars, by the way. The average age of a vehicle on American roads this morning is now more than 12 years old.
12.6 years, according to S&P Global Mobility. They've never been higher than this. First of all, the reliability of vehicles built after 2000. It's not uncommon now to see a 2011, let's say, RAV4 that's out on the road and still running very well. You've also got new vehicle prices close to a record high, add in high financing costs, high insurance costs, and a lot of people are saying, you know what, I'm good with what I'm driving right now.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau. On today's watch list, earnings from BJ's Wholesale and Ralph Lauren. NOAA announces its 2024 Atlantic hurricane season outlook, and insurance companies will be paying close attention.
A new bombshell allegation and a shouting match all surrounding Donald Trump. We've got the details when America in the Morning returns after these messages. A Florida hearing into the Donald Trump Mar-a-Lago classified documents case included a new bombshell allegation and a shouting match. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
The defense is arguing once again for a dismissal, alleging the case fails to clearly articulate a crime and amounts to a personal and political attack. A newly unsealed defense motion was made public along with hundreds of pages of documents. It reveals defense lawyers are asserting the FBI's search of Mar-a-Lago in 2022 was illegal. In another reveal, a former chief judge of the federal court in Washington issued a sealed opinion last year, which said that Trump's lawyers, months after the search, turned over additional documents with classified markings found in the former president's bedroom and his office at the estate. The prosecution team say that search warrant was obtained with probable cause, including surveillance video that showed an effort to conceal the boxes. The trial was set for May 20th, but was postponed by Judge Cannon, who cited numerous unresolved issues. I'm Jennifer King.
While a judge has signed off on a $600 million settlement for last year's Norfolk Southern train derailment in eastern Ohio, many people who live in that area still have serious questions about their health and how much money they'll see in the deal. Correspondent Julie reports.
The agreement is designed to address all damage claims against the companies within a 20-mile radius of the derailment, and for residents who choose to participate, personal injury claims within a 10-mile radius of the derailment. The lawyers who negotiated the deal plan to return to the community several times in the next few weeks and open a dedicated claim center to help answer residents' questions. But the lawyers involved say there is no way at this point to address potential future health costs if someone were to develop cancer down the road under appellate court rulings in the region. I'm Julie.
America in the Morning for Thursday, May 23rd, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout, and this is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout, and here's what's coming up this half hour. The Senate tackling the border and contraceptives, but will the bills pass? No endorsement, but she'll vote for Donald Trump, and a mass shooting outside Philadelphia.
The families of 19 of the victims in the Uvalde school shooting have announced a lawsuit against state police officers. I'm Mike Hempen.
The police chief at the University of California, Los Angeles, has been reassigned amid criticism of his handling of campus demonstrations. I'm Julie.
A break in the Menendez trial. An elevator is to blame.
How old is your car, truck, or SUV? I'm Rita Foley.
A Tennessee judge has blocked the auction of Elvis Presley's estate in Memphis. I'm Archie Zaraletta with the latest.
Back after these messages. We'll have some warmer temperatures across America today, but we're not into summer yet, so it's just wet and muggy in some spots. Meteorologist Brian Thompson's here.
Today is going to be one of the most humid days of the year so far across much of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. And as a cold front runs into this warm and humid air mass, that is going to lead to some showers and thunderstorms and potentially some stronger storms as we head throughout the day. The threat there from around the Boston area all the way down through New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, and into eastern parts of Virginia. So right along I-95, that's where the greatest risk will be for some strong gusty winds, some hail, even some flooding downpours with some of the storms today. There will be some thunderstorms all the way north through New England into northern parts of New England, and there will be some showers and storms extending farther west through the southern Ohio Valley and through much of the Tennessee Valley as well. We'll also find another area of severe storms today across the Plain States from eastern parts of South Dakota from around Sioux Falls, extending southward to Omaha, Kansas City, Wichita, through Oklahoma City, and into the Dallas-Fort Worth area as well. And the threat today will extend a little farther east over toward Little Rock, but much of the rest of the southeast will be dry along the central and eastern Gulf Coast. Again, that's where we're going to see some of the drier weather in the east today, and mostly dry across much of the Great Lakes from Chicago over toward Detroit, Madison, Milwaukee, looking dry on this Thursday as well. Now, there will be some rain, even some mountain snow in the northern Rockies through much of Montana, parts of western Wyoming as well. Four Corners region mainly dry. There will be an elevated fire risk today across New Mexico and far west Texas on this Thursday as well. And then as you get to the west coast, it looks primarily dry from Seattle all the way to San Diego. So looking like a nice day today. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Remember to follow us everywhere you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. A Senate vote is expected today on a standalone border bill up on Capitol Hill, but it appears to be doomed to fail as there may not be enough votes to get it through. Meanwhile, the Democrat-led Senate is also preparing to take up a bill that would protect birth control. The border bill would give billions of dollars for border security and reform parole and the asylum system. Republicans question why it's being brought up now, though, ahead of the election, with the border a top issue on the campaign trail. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the bill has solutions to issues that Republicans often talk about.
Close the borders. It has fentanyl. This bill will stop the flow of fentanyl in many large ways. Are they going to put their votes where their rhetoric is, or are they going to play politics?
Republicans, in a sense, being forced to vote by Democrats.
Senators will face an important decision. Will both sides come together to advance a bipartisan border security bill, or will partisanship get in the way once again?
Republicans rejected the legislation a few months ago. Some said that was because former President Donald Trump spoke out against it. But Schumer insists it's a bipartisan deal and the right one.
This bill was designed to get 60 votes and pass, which H.R. 2 was not. H.R. 2 was the truly political bill.
The White House paying attention as it has pointed to Congress for months now, even longer, to fix a continued surge of migration at the southern border.
Senate Republicans will have another opportunity to decide whether they want to support the toughest, fairest border security agreement in decades or continue putting their partisan political interest ahead of the nation's security.
It's a time when leaders in Congress are putting their members to the test. Leader Schumer reportedly planning to hold a Senate vote next month on a bill that would establish federal protections for legal contraceptives. Trump recently said in an interview that he was open to the idea of new restrictions on birth control. A Senate vote would force lawmakers to publicly pick a side on the controversial topic of reproductive rights in America right now. In an about-face, Nikki Haley declared that she'll cast her vote for Donald Trump in the upcoming election, despite acknowledging his imperfections on several policy fronts. Speaking at the Hudson Institute in Washington, her first public appearance since bowing out of the presidential race in March, Haley outlined her criteria as a voter: supporting a president who champions America's allies, holds its enemies accountable, secures the border, promotes capitalism and freedom, and addresses the national debt. Now, acknowledging Trump's shortcomings, Haley emphasized,
Trump has not been perfect on these policies. I've made that clear many, many times. But Biden has been a catastrophe. So I will be voting for Trump.
Haley, who's yet to endorse Trump, despite saying that she'll vote for him, continues to grab votes in Republican presidential primaries. 2 months after ending her bid, she said that Trump should reach out to the millions of people who voted for her in the primary and continue to support her now. In the Middle East, the European countries of Spain, Norway, and Ireland announced they'll recognize a Palestinian state. It's a move that Israel's opposed as giving a reward to terrorism over the Hamas attack that left over 1,200 Israelis dead and another 250 taken hostage. As a result, Israel's recalled their ambassadors to those three nations. They want to talk. The Biden administration says it won't recognize a Palestinian state and will only talk about that matter when the war ends. Israel's reporting that barely any of the food and supplies that have come into Gaza from a U.S.-built seaport has been distributed by either aid organizations or the UN. There's newly released footage from body cam video of Hamas attackers showing Israeli military women being taken hostage on October 7th, video that's been made public by the hostages' families. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports.
Footage of the October 7th attack on Israel shows female soldiers surrounded by armed men in a military base in southern Israel. The video released by the Hostages Families Forum shows bloodied young women being taken. Ashley Waxman-Bakshi, whose cousin is in the video, describes her reaction.
I saw the video for the first time. I cried while watching it. And towards the end, I felt like I was going to throw up. I think any person who watches this video will understand that feeling, especially as a woman.
While watching the video was difficult, it still brought Bakshi some hope.
The last time we've heard of her and had a sign of life was 26th of November, months and months and months ago, from the released hostages that came back and said that they had seen her. Since then, nothing. No sign of life. But we know she's alive.
I'm Lisa Dwyer.
As one official put it, they were just showing up for another day at work. Now 2 employees are dead at a suburban Philadelphia business when a coworker opened fire. Correspondent Bob Brown has the story.
Police investigators say around 8:30 Wednesday morning, an employee at Delaware County Linen in Chester, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia, pulled out a gun and shot 2 workers to death and seriously wounded 3 other workers. Employees hearing shots running for their lives.
And the people coming running and say, go out, and I go out.
Some of them thought we were all scared because of what happened. We thought somebody was coming, but we didn't stay to see what would happen. Everyone just ran for their lives.
WPVI-TV reporting the gunman was known for being an ongoing problem and was described as often wearing a gun on his belt. One worker telling the station that many employees complained about the gunman to management, but nobody listened. Chester Mayor Stefan Roots.
Walk into his workplace on a day of work and take out his anger in such a violent way to not just the boss, but to his co-workers, who he probably worked side by side with.
Police later arresting the alleged shooter after he drove off in his car. I'm Bob Brown.
A settlement for families in the Uvalde elementary school massacre, but parents calling for more accountability with the state police in Texas top of mind. We'll tell you what's next when America in the Morning returns. Stay with us. The families of the victims of the Uvalde, Texas school shooting announced they'll sue Texas State Police over the botched response to the Robb Elementary School. As correspondent Mike Hempen reports, this comes as the families reached a settlement with the city of Uvalde just days before the 2-year anniversary of the massacre.
The families of 19 of the victims in the Uvalde school shooting have announced a lawsuit against nearly 100 state police officers who were involved in the botched law enforcement response. The families also say they have agreed to a $2 million settlement with the city, with city leaders promising higher standards and better training for local officers. This Friday is the 2-year anniversary of the Robb Elementary shooting. 19 fourth graders and 2 teachers died when a teenage gunman burst into their classroom and began shooting. More than 370 federal, state, and local officers arrived on the scene, but they waited more than 70 minutes before confronting the shooter. I'm Mike Hempen.
As the University of California, Los Angeles Chancellor Glenn Block heads to Capitol Hill for a hearing on campus anti-Semitism, correspondent Haya Panjwani reports the UCLA police chief has been reassigned after failures over anti-Israel protests.
A statement from UCLA said that Chief John Thomas was temporarily reassigned pending an examination of the school's security processes. His reassigned role was not identified. Thomas told the Los Angeles Times in early May that he did everything he could to provide security and keep students safe during days of pro-Palestinian protests and counter-protests. But his response was roundly criticized and prompted Chancellor Jean Block to order a review of campus security procedures. Block has been summoned to Washington by a Republican-led House committee to testify this week about the protests on the LA campus. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The trial of New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez grinded to a halt and will take a break until next Tuesday after federal court jurors got stuck in an elevator. That a day after they were forced from their usual assembly room because of flooding. Prosecutors allege that Menendez used his powerful post as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee to do favors for Egypt in return for bribes. Photos shown during the trial of Menendez's home included $600,000 worth of cash and 13 gold bars, including a stack of bills stuffed inside a boot. Menendez and his wife are charged with a slew of corruption and bribery crimes for allegedly pocketing the gold, cash, a Mercedes convertible, and other luxury gifts. After his arrest last fall, Menendez was forced to step down from his foreign relations post, but resisted calls, including from fellow Senate Democrats and New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, for him to leave the Senate. Apparently, just because a car is old doesn't mean you have to get rid of it. Correspondent Rita Foley reports that we're holding on to our vehicles longer, with good reason.
Vehicles that are on the road now, on average, are so old that they're breaking the record. The average age is 12.6 years, according to S&P Mobility. It tracks state vehicle registration data nationwide. Americans are keeping their vehicles largely because new ones cost so much. The average new vehicle selling price is more than $45,000, says J.D. Power, and that's down more than $2,000 from the peak in December of 2022. New vehicle sales are starting to return to pre-pandemic levels, and though some buyers are struggling with prices, others are waiting to see if they want to buy an electric vehicle or go with a gas-electric hybrid. I'm Rita Foley.
Congress has put off regulating cryptocurrencies longer than most countries, but the House finally passed a bill that could change how Americans buy and trade digital assets. Here's Chuck Palm with today's Tech News.
A key crypto regulation bill has passed the House with 208 Republican members and 71 Democrats voting in favor of the bill dubbed FIT 21. The vote for the Financial Innovation and Technology of the 21st Century bill finally has laid out crucial framework for regulation of digital assets and establishing jurisdiction between the CFTC and the SEC. If the bill is passed by the Senate and signed by the President, it will give the CFTC exclusive regulatory authority over digital asset commodities like cryptos and NFTs. The President has not expressed favor for the bill, but did say on Wednesday that comprehensive and a balanced regulatory framework were necessary for digital assets, intimating that he would sign the bill. Democratic Representative Maxine Waters did blast the bill, saying this bill still provides major exemptions from critical securities laws, and that the bill would exonerate them and give them opportunities to operate without regulation. Tell us what you think at allthetoptech.tech. I'm Chuck Palm.
It's time for sports, brought to you by Untuck It. Right now, everything's 25% off for the Memorial Day event. Go to untuckit.com or any one of their 80-plus stores. Here's Robert Workman.
NBA Conference Finals, the Mavericks got by the Timberwolves 108-105 in a hard-fought Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals in Minneapolis. Luka Doncic had a game-high 33 points, 15 of those in the fourth quarter. Kyrie Irving added 30.
We did something great tonight, but we didn't win the series, and we understand that. And we know that they're going to be highly motivated to beat us next game as they were tonight, but it just wasn't their night. It was ours, and we got to continue to do the little things that got us this win tonight.
Game 2 of the East Finals tonight, the Celtics host the Pacers. Stanley Cup playoffs, the Panthers blanked the Rangers 3-0 to take Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final in New York. Sergei Bobrovsky stopped 23 shots for his first shutout of these playoffs.
On the postseason, you don't think about the goals or anything. There is only wins and losses, and that's it. And you focus on one moment at a time, and you don't think about anything else.
Tonight, it's Game 1 of the West Final, the Stars hosting the Oilers. Baseball, the high-flying Phillies win their 5th straight, an 11-4 romp over the Rangers. Philadelphia now 36-14. That's the best 50-game start since the Mariners of 2001, who set the record with 116 wins. Padres pounced on the Reds 7-3. Luis Arias hit a leadoff homer to start a 4-hit day. Jazz Chisholm Jr.'s leadoff dinger was the only run of the game as the Marlins blanked the Brewers 1-0. Diamondbacks shut out the Dodgers, a 6-man 6-hitter. Braves battered the Cubs. Max Fried went the distance on a 3-hitter with 9 Ks. Guardians down the Mets for their 6th straight victory. Royals kept pace with their 6th win in a row, beating the Tigers. Ryan McMahon's homer in the 12th gave the Rockies a win over the A's. Giants came back from down 5-0 to beat the Pirates in 10 innings. Yankees sank the Mariners. Juan Soto with 2 of New York's 4 home runs. Red Sox over the Rays to complete the sweep of the Trop. Wins for the Angels, Twins, and Blue Jays. And the Cardinals took 2 from the Orioles. It's the first time Baltimore has been swept in a regular season series in more than 2 years. That's Thursday Sports.
A judge weighs in on the sale of Elvis Presley's Graceland. We'll tell you what the ruling was when America in the Morning returns. Stay with us. There's new trouble for an already troubled rapper. Correspondent Julie Walker reports a new lawsuit accuses Sean Diddy Combs of a 2003 alleged sexual assault.
Former model Crystal McKinney is accusing Sean Diddy Combs of sexually assaulting her in the bathroom at his New York City recording studio in 2003. She was 22. The lawsuit filed Tuesday. No comment yet from Combs. However, on Sunday, he had this to say about surveillance video showing him punching and kicking ex-girlfriend Cassie.
My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted.
Before the disturbing video came to light, Combs initially denied all allegations against him. He's facing a handful of other lawsuits alleging sexual assault. Cassie was one of them. They settled out of court. Julie Walker, New York.
Marvel has tapped into a Star Trek showrunner to head a new series. Kevin Carr has a preview.
After a pause in development, Marvel has revived a series that brings back the Avenger known as Vision. The character, played by Paul Bettany, was killed by Thanos in 2018's Infinity War, but he returned in the Disney Plus series WandaVision in 2021.
The bad guy rewound time and killed himself. There are a few extra steps, but to set up the context.
I came back and died again.
And she had to watch.
The series ended with the fate of the resurrected character unclear.
So long, darling.
Variety now reports that Marvel is developing a Disney Plus Vision series for release in 2026. The superhero powerhouse has tapped Terry Matalas to executive produce and run the show. Matalas was chosen because of his work on Star Trek Picard, which featured a return of the cast from the Next Generation.
It's been a long time since we all sat around a table like this. Too long, really.
Recently, Marvel said it's pulling back from its television output to focus more on theatrical films. The upcoming series, Agatha All Along, also a WandaVision spin-off, debuts in September.
And I killed Sparky, too.
This is the first Marvel series this year since Echo dropped in January. This news comes as Paramount plans to expand the Star Trek universe. The studio is courting X-Men film series producer and writer Simon Kinberg to reboot the Star Trek theatrical films. The upcoming movie will focus on the early days of Starfleet when Earth first encounters aliens. I'm Kevin Carr.
A judge has blocked the sale of Elvis Presley's Graceland. Entertainment correspondent Margie Zaraletta reports.
Shelby County Chancellor Joe Day Jenkins has issued a temporary injunction against the sale of Graceland. Elvis Presley's granddaughter, actor Riley Keough, had sued Naussany Investments and Private Lending after it posted a public notice of a foreclosure sale for Graceland. The company said Keough's mother, Lisa Marie Presley, had put up Graceland as collateral for a 2018 loan that she failed to repay. Keough's lawsuit says Naussany provided fraudulent documents. Neither Keough nor attorneys for Naussany were in court on Wednesday. I'm Archie Zaraletta.
America in the Morning for Thursday, May 23rd, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout. And this is Westwood One.